Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you had a good morning. It's a bit difficult always to have the first session after lunch. We had a fantastic food. And then also for the ones who have traveled, like I did yesterday, also is when jet lag kicks. So I'll try to make it live and keep your attention. I will also help as a chairman for the afternoon. So I will introduce the speakers and keep the sequence together with Isabella. So first speaker I will introduce is myself. My name is Marcelo Möller. I was born in Brazil, in São Paulo. I've been living in the Netherlands now for 7 years. I've been with Heineken for 3 years, heading the consumer market intelligence for innovation, for our global beer brands and our global cider brands. Before that, I was marketing director at Philips for new businesses. I work a lot here in Shanghai. We developed the air purification business in China. And before that, I spent 10 years in strategy consulting, half of them in BCG and half of them in Hollenberger, 2 years here in Shanghai. So I'm very happy to be back to China. I lived here 2 years in Shanghai, and it was a pleasure. I have a very special place in my heart. My Chinese is not as good as Mr. wrote this morning. I wish, I just can order beer and say my name, but it gets me going. So, okay, so enough of me. Now a bit of Heineken. Let me see how this works. Okay. So, welcome to the world of Heineken. My presentation will be about 25 minutes, and then I have some time for questions at the end. There's 3 parts of it. So first I'll talk a bit about Heineken, our company, who we are, how are we doing. Then I'll talk a bit about consumers. So 3 consumers' truths that I want to share with you. And then the last part, I will reflect on innovation from the 3 consumers' truths. So what is the implication when you think about innovation? Yeah, okay. So Heineken. Let's go. So Heineken. Last year we celebrated 150 years of existence. We're still a family-owned company. The Heineken family is very active in the company. We are very proud to be independent, to be a global brewer. We have breweries in more than 70 countries. We sell our beer, I think, in almost every country, 190 countries or so. Hardly ever you go to a country where you cannot drink a Heineken. And Heineken is the #1 beer brand in the world in the premium segment, international beer brand. We have actually more than 250 brands, not only Heineken. Heineken is the icon. It carries the name of the company and the name of the family. But we have also Tiger here in Asia, Bintang in Indonesia. We have Anchor in China. We have a few other brands, 250 around the world, and more than 80,000 employees. We are very proud of independent brewers. We are #3 in the world. We're #1 in Europe. So bigger than us is Anheuser-Busch InBev and SABMiller. I think tomorrow we have ABI friends talking about it as well, here. And our business priorities is, well, first of all, grow Heineken, our icon, worldwide. Then delight consumers with inspiration, inspire consumer-inspired innovation. Can capture opportunities in emerging markets. We have a very strong presence in Africa, in Asia as well, and Latin America. They are very important for us. And we want also to leverage our scale. So we are a global company, with multiple countries. We need to make sure we benefit from it. So last year, we had a very good year. We had a fantastic growth in our profit. Net profit increased by 14%, revenue by 3%. A very good year. Driven by Heineken itself. Heineken has grown more than 5% last year. I know if you live in China, you are used to double-digit growth year after year. But for 150-year-old brands, which is everywhere, 5% is a lot in a year, so we are very happy about it. We also had records in revenue from innovation. We had 1.5 billion euros last year coming only from innovation. Innovation is growing and becoming more and more important in the company. And we have also other global brands like Desperados, Sol, Affligem, beers that we sell in many, many markets that also had a fantastic growth last year. And now a bit more about the department where I work. So my team, What we do is, it can be split in two aspects. So one is the part of the creating. So we make sure we understand consumers, their lives, their needs. Based on that, we bring all these insights to the company, and we create new products, new packagings, new road to market, new communications, everything consumer inspired. Then we test it before we launch to the market, and then products launch it. That's the creating part. So this. Then we have the improving part, whereas we're tracking very closely what's happening, who is drinking us, why, when, all the 6W our friends from Nielsen was talking about. We have this in mind, and based on that, we learn how to improve the creation next time. So we create a learning machine that every time we get better, faster, more accurate, and is more efficient in the way we use. This is what me and my team, we are responsible for. Okay, enough Heineken now. You have a bit of idea who we are. If you want to know more about us, order Heineken next time you are in a bar. You will understand a bit more about us. Three consumer truths. So in the creating part and also in the improving part of our work, we do a lot of consumer interactions, all sorts of techniques, neuroscience, ethnographies, all sorts of online research. And from there, we capture a lot of insights on consumers. I'm going to share with you three of them, and that implies it has direct implications to innovation. I will need your help, actually. There are 2 or 3 exercises where I will need you to raise your hands and help me a bit. It's also a bit good to get some energy after lunch, so please count on you to help me. First, consumer truth. Okay, I will show you a very short video. Yeah. Please pay attention, be very focused, follow what's happening. It's very short, and after that, we will explain. Okay. Can you press play? Okay, I saw some of you jumping on the seat, other people feeling comfortable. That was the intention, I'm sorry for that. But that's the consumer truth I want to talk about. Consumer truth I want to talk about is that we react faster. Yeah, we have instincts that is beyond rational. You all knew it was a video, it was a snake on the video, it would never bite you or touch you or anything. There was no risk for you. And still, a lot of you jumped in the chair, a lot of you felt uncomfortable and thought in your mind, oh God, this snake. Yeah. So there's a lot of things with that we think we are more rational than we are as consumers. A lot of things we do by instinct. That's and usually it's, when it's related by fear, like in that case, or when it's related to love, the famous love at first sight. When you have this deeper emotion, you have instinctive reaction beyond any rational. And this is very important for innovation. Second, consumer truth. Okay, here I will do an exercise, and I will ask you to count a few things and raise your hands. I will make a question. Please help me. Yeah. So first, I want you to. I will show you a picture with a lot of images and figures, and I want you to count how many green squares do you see in the picture. Yeah, it will be very short. So look for green squares and tell me how many do you see. Yeah, very simple picture. Looking for the green squares. Okay, so must be short. It was not that difficult. Have you seen green squares, actually? Okay, how many have you seen? Who saw one? Okay, who has seen more than 2? Or who has seen 0? Okay, so very good. It was indeed 1 square there. Very good. Now, the second question is, how many blue triangles have you seen? Yeah? So, who has seen a blue triangle? 1? Yeah? Someone has saw more than 1? Someone saw none? Exactly. So that's actually there were 2. And they were right on the side of the green square that you saw first. So the message here is that we delist things before focusing. Yeah. So our brain is the organ in our body who consumes most energy. So the brain is wired to save energy, as much as it can, to keep energy for when it's needed. So when consumers are focused, when I told you look for the green squares, your brain immediately blocked everything else. Your brain saw the blue triangle, said, not important, I'm looking for green squares. I'm saving energy for the future. So this is very important if you think about how are we stimulating our consumers to find us in a shelf or to find us in a bar. Yeah, are they really seeing you, or you are just being ignored because they are focusing on something else? Very important consumer learning. Okay, and the third consumer truth is, I'll show you a picture. So, yeah. I'm sure this might bring you some emotions or some reactions to in your brain. Keep it to yourself, and I will elaborate a bit about it. So, very simple picture. If you are from the Netherlands, where I live, here in the little corner of Europe, and you see this picture, the most common reaction is, oh, this. Stop it, kill it, insects, horrible animals, they're going to bite me, all sorts of things. Yeah. Now, if you are a Brazilian guy born in the countryside of São Paulo, like I am, that's a bit where I come from, little corner there, your reaction is a bit different. When you see these animals, your reaction is this. You say, ooh, yummy, I can't wait to eat it. This ant is a delicacy from that area where I was born. They fly only once a year out of the underground in October, and they taste divine. So you clean them, you fry them with manioc flour, and it's a delicious dish. And we wait for that month until it comes for the October. So the consumer truth here is that in our brain, all our memories or our associations are full with emotions. So it's very hard that you don't have an emotion about something. But they might be very different in different markets. So if the same ants in Holland cause like disgusting, and in Brazil, people get hungry and think about it. So when you're having global innovation or propositions that are going to touch different cultures, you have to understand what is the emotion, what is the association they have it. Yeah, it's very important. So my three consumer truths were, first one, that we react very fast, not rationally, so instinctively reacting to things, usually linked to fear or love. The second one is our attention is very focused. So you see what you wanted to see. If you're not expecting that, you ignore it. And the third consumer truth is emotional associations. Most of our memories bring emotions together. And when we do innovation, it has a big implication for us. You might trigger the wrong emotion, and then you're out. Okay, so this was the consumer truth part of the presentation. Now, what is the implication for innovation, for this three? Only this three. There's much more drivers of innovation, but I will focus on this three. I want to start with something we called incremental innovations. Yeah. So incremental innovations is just like when you develop something like a line extension or something that is slightly different than your core product. Yeah, you all have products like this. So this is our Amstel beer, one of our biggest brands around the world. And this is the alcohol-free version of it, 0.0. So as you can see, very similar, brown bottle, same color of the liquids, labels very similar, neck label. The only thing is slightly different. You can see a 0.0 there. You can see it. Yeah. So how does the three consumer truths relate to incremental innovation? Okay. First of all is there's an immediate understanding of it. So if they know beer, they know the bottle, is nothing so different, they will just, okay, understand immediately. Yeah. If they love the brand, they will love it. If they don't love the brand, they will ignore it as well. The second one is on the shelf, it might be ignored. And why? Because it's not different enough. And that's why a lot of times people buy competitor brands instead of yours, because they mix both, or they buy the wrong flavor of juice because the labels are very similar. I think this morning we saw a case where 2 bottles of juice had a very similar label. That's the type of incremental innovation happened a lot as well. Yeah, it's very, consumers usually buy wrong, so it can be a bit of a problem there. And the third one is emotional baggage. So if you like beer, the chance you like the line extension. If you like Amstel, the Amstel 0.0, you're probably going to try it. If you hate alcohol-free beer, you're probably not going to try it. So depending on where you come from. But that's the emotional baggage. What is the advantage of incremental innovations? It's much easier to make consumers understand it. You need less time and less money to invest and make people know you. The challenge is less differentiating, and you might get incremental, small incremental volumes. It won't be much bigger. It's difficult. Yeah. Then the second type of innovation is disruptive innovations. This is when you create something that consumers never saw before, and it's very different than what they are used to. So I put two examples here. First, this was the first draft beer machine we had years ago, and this is the latest one we have. Is called the Sub. We sell in Europe already, and it's all about draft beer at home. So you draft your own beer, and online sales. There's an online platform. You can choose 15 brands from around the world, and you can play around it. It's relaunched. It's very different. Consumers never saw this before. Consumers usually don't drink draft beer at home, so it's a very different story. How does it relate to the consumer truth? First thing is, there's usually in a disruptive innovation, there's no really reaction to it, yeah, because there's no passion or love or anything yet. So it's a very empty feeling. Consumers will not, they will need a lot of thinking, a lot of brain power to understand it, what it is, how it works, what is in it for me, what is the benefit. So it costs a lot of energy for consumers. The second thing is that's very positive, it attracts attention. If you enter a shop and you see this machine with a Heineken brand on it, you say, oh wow, what is this? And people, that's good part of it. The third part is there's no association yet. So there's, in terms of emotional, they might relate to Heineken, they might relate to the beer, but as a device, as the online way of buying beer is brand new. So you have to build it to your consumers. So the implication is, it's very powerful. If you do it right, you create a huge new market. Yeah? It creates a total new area of growth for you. The challenge is it costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time because for these main reasons. You have to, people need to understand you, and then you have to create the right emotions in their brains. But if you do well, it works very well. Then the third type of innovation I want to talk about is the hybrid innovations. Hybrid is when you mix two different categories that was not related or you wouldn't expect naturally. So it's a hybrid proposition. I'm using a Colgate case. This is a very known business case in Harvard and INSEAD, all the business schools. I don't know if someone from Colgate is here. If so, I'd love to hear more from you as well, maybe in the Q&A. But the thing here was the following. So Colgate thought, we are every day in the mouth of millions of consumers. They trust us, they brush their teeth with us, they use our toothbrushes, our mouth water, etc. So they said, well, what's more logical that we launch a ready-made meal? So they launched a whole range of ready-made spaghetti, ready-made hamburgers, ready-made everything. First they launched the Irish market, and, well, it was not very successful. So let's use the consumer's truth to analyze why. So the first thing is there was an immediate response of it. So people knew Colgate, and they are used to the brands, they clean their mouth, and they knew food. So this was a bit of an awkward feeling. They said, okay, I don't know how it relates, but it calls attention. The second thing is, yes, you see Colgate and the spaghetti, you say, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah, so you go immediately attract to it. But the key issue they had was association. So the Colgate association in consumers' mind is about cleaning, refreshing your mouth, make your mouth feels very fresh and new. And when you eat, that's the opposite feeling. When you eat, you don't want to think about cleaning your mouth. You want to enjoy and taste and savor. Yeah. So it's a very counterintuitive mix. And the first level is very intuitive. Oh, both go to your mouth, so they make sense. But actually it's not, because the emotions they trigger are very different. And that's the reason why this innovation didn't work very well. The challenge here is, well, the positive side of hybrid innovations is that you can leverage existing emotions and knowledge about the different products and combine and make this the 1 + 1 equals more than 2, for instance. That's very powerful. But the challenge is, if you don't choose the right associations or the right meaning that you want to give to the product, then you're damned to failure. Now, let me show you one more example of hybrids. That's this time one from our company. Okay, this was the first project I had when I joined the company. We were preparing the launch of Radler around the world. We launched it in 40 countries, in all 5 regions, always with our local brands. Radler is a mix of beer with lemon juice. Yeah, like 60% beer, 40% lemon juice, more or less. And it's a very refreshing drink. It's like 2% alcohol. We also have alcohol-free. And we always launch it in our markets led by the local brand. So Amstel beer in the Netherlands, Foster's in UK, Moretti in Italy, Bintang in Indonesia. In Singapore, we have Tiger Radler. And so that was the idea behind it. And it worked very well, to be honest. It's the one, I think it's the biggest innovation in the beer industry ever. And we are selling more. We sold already more than 1.6 billion bottles of Radler, just our brand. And the competition follows us very close. So now most of our competitors are launching as well, which is nice, just so you're doing something right. So we are very happy about it. And the trigger here is it brought new consumers in new drinking occasions. So we discussed this morning about new occasions, how important it is. And because the challenge here is usually if you don't like beer and you are in a group of people drinking beer, you feel very awkward. And then maybe you feel a bit forced to drink beer because everybody's having a beer. And then you have it, but you're not really enjoying it. And in this case, the taste is slightly different than beer, but it's still, you feel part of the group. So for people who don't like much beer, it's a fantastic type of beer because they really enjoy the sweetness, the refreshment of the lemon. Yeah. And for beer lovers, when they are in that moment where they think, well, now, I don't know, I don't want to have a full beer, 5% alcohol, etc., or I'm working in the garden, I need to something lighter, then it also fits very well. So we found out that it was very good for very different consumers and for very different occasions. So why it worked, actually? First of all, we built on the beloved local brand. Yeah. So we only launched it with local brands that were very strong and the people love it. So all the love of the recognition of the mother brand, they brought it with it. Second is lemon is one of the most popular flavors around the world. So if there's one flavor you found in every country and all sorts of confectionaries, ice creams, etc., is lemon. So people have already also a very good positive emotion to lemon. It attracts attention because it's quite different than the mother brand. There's always this, you have the normal mother brand bottle, and then you have a big yellow lemon in front of it, and all talking about refreshment and the summer, etc. So people were quite surprised by it. And the best and most powerful reason was the third one. So consumers understand beer as one of the most refreshing things you can drink. So if you have a hot summer day, you do the first sip of a cold beer, it's very refreshing. But all consumers also think lemon is very refreshing. Yeah. So if you think about a flavor of ice cream, lemon ice cream is the most refreshing you can have. Or if you think about soft drinks, usually lemon is the choice when you want refreshment. So this combination of lemon and beer, it creates a double refreshment. And that's what we claimed, actually. So in every market, we launch it claiming double refreshment. And the reason is, it was the ultimate association both products have in their minds. And that's why we had such a successful case here. So, sorry, this up, down. Okay, so recapping a bit then. First, I talk about 3 consumer truths. The first one is about how fast we react to things instinctively, related to emotions usually, fear or love. The second is how much attention, focus you need for attention, and our role as marketeers and innovation people to guide consumers to what we are doing. Yeah? Sometimes we have brilliant ideas and we just put it on the shelf and hope they will find it. We have to find a way that we tell consumers, look for our green square, so they know where to find it. And the third one is emotional associations. So the disruptive innovation, hybrid innovations, they are very powerful, but you have to understand the emotions that are behind it. Otherwise, you might be creating stress for consumers, and then you're out, it won't work. Now, how do they relate to the 3 types of innovation I mentioned? If you see a half full of beer, that means very good. Yeah? If you see a half empty of beer, that means a big challenge. If you see a half full of beer, that means you have to do something about it. Yeah. So for incremental innovation, the emotional association is very good. They know the brand, they know what you are doing. There are two challenges, which is in terms of finding, recognition. Will they delist you from their brain or not? Because you might be too close to the original product. And the second one is, what is the association to this? What do they have in mind when they are drinking? Do they like 00 beer or not, for instance? And then you have to find a different way of communicating to them. If you think about disruptive, then here is a bigger challenge, actually. So what is easy there is recognition. If you're so different, they will notice you. There's no doubt about it. But there's a big work to be done in terms of creating the right associations in their brains and make sure that they understand you, and it's almost instinctively that they know what you are. And this takes time and money. But this, if you make it right, if you put the right beer on that glass, it works very well. And the third one is about the hybrids. The hybrids are a bit easier in that sense. If you start with a strong brand equity, mother brands, or strong image of the product, you start with a good fit. And then recognition usually is quite easy as well. People get attracted. Oh, wow, never thought of mixing these two products. And the challenge is also in the emotions. So now in Europe, Oetker launched the pizza burger. I don't know if you have in China. They got two pizzas, put one on top of each other, and put a hamburger in the middle. And they sell it like a pizza burger. And people like it's a mix of pizza and burger, and people are loving it. They say, oh, fantastic. Because they understood that both were eaten at the same time, watching football or whatever. So this is an example of good, successful hybrid. Well, that was it from my side. So now, big thank you, xie. And I'm open for questions, whatever you want to know. Yeah, I'll put my headphones, 1 second.
Thank you for your... Hello. Thank you for your introduction in terms of the consumer truth as well as the implication for innovation. So I have a question related to the disruptive innovation, because you mentioned from first instinct perspective, it's not creating very strong first instinct. And also from an emotion perspective, it's also a bit challenging. So as you know, for innovation process, majority of the manufacturer using consumer research to kind of qualify whether one or two innovation will be successful in the market. So in this particular case of disruptive innovation, it might be risky. It's not necessarily because of the idea is not good, but because of it's so disruptive. Therefore, consumer might not necessarily give higher purchase intention because they need time to be educated. So what do you think about this kind of challenging, especially when we would like to drive disruptive innovation in the market?
A very good question, and you are totally right about it. The challenge with disruptive innovation is time and money. It takes time to build it. It takes time to explain to consumers what it is, and that consumers know you and have the right emotions. So most of the time, the best way to make it happen is pilot. So you test, make sure it's relevant for consumers, etc. But maybe if it's too different, they will not evaluate you very well. They will say, oh, it's too far away from me. But if you still believe in it, the best thing is launch in a very small scale, in a city where your competitors will not easily find you. And I don't know, maybe with 20, 50, 100 shops, controlled environment with one retailer partner or online, and see how it goes. And give it time. So give yourself half a year or 3 months to see how the sales goes. And make sure you track the real consumers who are buy it. And why they buy it, and a week later, are they happy or not? That's the best way. The only way you can really understand. And then you buy yourself time to learn how the product really works in the marketplace. Because testing is limited in the kinds of hybrids. If it's too different, they will probably reject you first. And a lot of good ideas are killed already in the funnel because of this. So, but the challenge is always how entrepreneur is the company you work for, how much risk they are willing to take, and so it's always a bit complicated. But I agree with you. Piloting, for me, would be the answer. More questions?
Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to ask about how often do you actually have to innovate? Because let's say for a brand, whether it's an up-and-coming brand or let's say an established brand, there's always a question whether, how much do you engage and make changes and, make that change. Based on your insight, what are actually the things that you've seen in terms of frequency of innovation, and what would be the gap in between for you to actually develop different innovative campaigns?
Good question as well. We have this conversation constantly inside the company. What we see is innovation is speeding up big time. So I just made a presentation a week ago where we saw that in 2004, the whole year, there were 300 new beer launched in the world. Yeah. And last year, 10 years later, 2014, there were 6,500 beers launched. Yeah. So it's 22%, 22 times more launches than ever. So you see it becoming more and more the way forward, I think. Consumers are also expecting variety. They want to try different things. And that means also that loyalty to products are a bit at risk now. So people are very promiscuous, if I may say, changing brands all the time. I think the trick is there's the two ways to address it. I don't have a full answer for you on this. I think it depends on your brand, how relevant is innovation for your brand. If your brand is really playing, I'm innovative, I'm bringing new things to you, I have an open mind, then innovation will be more and more a part of it. And you have to be also comfortable that 50% of your launches will die after 3 years, as we saw this morning with the Kantar panel. And that's true. Yeah. So it's just about keeping it running and launching. If your brand is more on the traditional side or more on the specialty side, then probably the speed of innovation can be less, or you can innovate in different things, not necessarily on product, but you can innovate on communication, you can innovate on distribution, or do it. Then it's a different way of innovating that you're still satisfying consumers, but without this crazy speed of launch. That's a bit the two directions I see. More questions?
Hi, Tyler Watkins from Midwest Vaco Packaging. Just wondering, in your stage gate process or whatever process you guys use to manage innovations, how early are you bringing in your trusted suppliers, whether it's ad partners or packaging partners?
5 years ago, if you asked me this, I would say at the end of the funnel when we are preparing the launch. In the last 2 years, that's 3 years, I think, we have been bringing more and more inside the innovation process. So now, even the front end, we have ideas that come straight from our suppliers. We have an event once a year called Think, is in our brewery in Zoeterwoude, and then all our suppliers are invited to come and to bring us ideas, and from there we even start a new innovation development from full front end and funnel. We try to bring them as much as possible. Also retailers, to be honest. Also the supplier side, but also our customer. Because ultimately, you guys will be, suppliers will be a key part of making it happen, and the retailers will be the ones who are going to sell. So we have to do more work together. This goes a lot in the open innovation mindset. We just established an open innovation department. We saw our global innovation team, and that's the way forward, for sure. More and more from the very beginning.
Hi, Marcelo, 你可以举一个具体的
Marcelo, could you give me a specific example, please?
customer help you innovation? Yeah.
Yes, we launched a beautiful product in Hungary now. It's from our local brand. You probably don't know. It's called Soproni. It's one of the biggest beer brands in Hungary. And we have, it's a beer that is protected from light, temperature, and time. So it's as soon as it's brewed, it's already put in stored cold, and is paper wrapped, and is sold via cold logistics to the supermarkets. and put on the fridge or directly on the dairy area or something. So it's a very different concept, and suppliers have a key role in helping us finding the right packaging there. So without them, we wouldn't have this beautiful way of wrapping the bottles and making them fresh and bring them to the fridge. Also the logistic partners, to have all the cold logistics. We never did cold logistics before. We started there in Hungary. And the customers as well. So we partner with Tesco. You can buy us in Tesco, everybody's there. So, and they were also very involved in the whole development. So it was really a joint development at that time.
谢谢。
So I see you are also responsible for cider. So could you introduce a little bit about cider? Well, how do you see the market?
Yeah, cider is becoming more and more important in our company. Now it's part of our strategic pillars. We are the #1 cider brewer in the world. We have Strongbow, Boomers, Blind Pig, Old Mout. So because we have the UK markets from a long time ago. So when we bought Scottish in Newcastle, we got also the cider business. And it's a very interesting business, actually. It addresses different consumer needs. It's a more of a sweeter taste. It's similar to beer, but not really. It's a different taste and a more sunny summer refreshment and more playful with the flavors. So there are all sorts of berries and fruits and honey. And it's going quite well. It's, for us, we are brewers. We know beer. We are used to sell it and drink beer. And all of a sudden, we have this new product made of apples and a very different story. We have to understand about orchards. We have to understand about harvest of apples. It's a different business that we are learning. But we're going very well. I think consumers are demanding it. We launched it recently in the US. It's going very well. We also entered the Irish market with a new proposition. So slowly we are learning and growing. But we really believe in it. We'll become bigger. More questions? You can okay. So I think we can call the. Thank you very much. We can go to the presentation now. Feel free to contact me. I'll be here today and tomorrow, the whole day. Also later on online. Very happy to hear your thoughts on the presentation. And now.